Welcome to Chapter 3 of The Little Prince. It took me a long time to understand from where he came, the little prince, who asks me a lot of questions. Never seemed to understand mine. The words spoken by chance, little by little, are the ones revealing me everything. Thus, when he saw my plane for the first time, I will not draw my plane, it's a little too complicated for me to draw. He asked me, "What is that thing there?" "That is not a thing. It flies. It is a plane. It is my plane." And I was proud to explain to him that I flew. Then he exclaimed, "How? Did you fall from the sky?" "Yes," I said, I said modestly. "Ah, it is funny." And the little prince had a very nice burst of laughter that irritated me a lot. I want my misfortunes to be taken seriously. Then he added, "Then you also come from the sky. What planet are you from?" I immediately saw a gleam in the mystery of his presence, and I asked abruptly, "So do you come from another planet?" But he did not answer me. He nodded softly while watching my plane. It is true that It's true that on that you can't come from far away. And he sank into a daydream that lasted long. Then, taking my sheep out of his pocket, he immersed himself in the contemplation of his treasure. You imagine how I had been intrigued by this half-confidence on the other planets. Therefore I struggled to learn more. "Where are you from, my little fellow? Where is your home? Where do you want to take my sheep to?" He replied after the meditative silence, "Which is good. With the box you gave me, I mean overnight, it will serve as a house. Of course, if you are nice, I will also give you a rope to tie it during the day, and a picket." The proposal the proposal seemed to shock the little prince. "Tie it? What a funny idea! But if you do not tie it, it will go anywhere, and it will be lost." And my friend had a new burst of laughter. "But where do you want it to go?" "Anywhere, right in front of it." Then the little prince observed severely, "It doesn't matter. My home was very small." And with a bit of melancholy, perhaps, he added, "Right in front. Nobody can go far away." Chapter 4. Thus, I had learned a second very important thing, that his home planet was not much larger than a house. It could not surprise me much. I knew that outside of big planets like Jupiter, Mars, Venus, which have been given names, there are hundreds of other, sometimes so small that it is very hard to see them through the telescope. When an astronomer discovers one of them, he gives it a number as a name. He calls it, for example, asteroid 325. I have serious reasons to believe that the planet where the little prince came from is asteroid B 612. This asteroid is only seen once through a telescope in 1909 by a Turkish astronomer. Then he made a great demonstration of his discovery at an International Congress of Astronomy. However, nobody believed him because of his costume. The grown-ups are like that. Unfortunately for the reputation of asteroid B612, a Turkish dictator imposed on his people, on pain of death, to dress like the Europeans. The astronomer remade his demonstration in 1920 in a very elegant garment, and this time everybody accepted his opinion. If I had told you those details on asteroid B612 and gave you his number, it's because of grown-ups. Grown-ups like digits. When you talk to them about a new friend, they never ask you the essential. They never tell you. Which is the sound of his voice? What are the games that he prefers? Does he collect butterflies? They ask you, how old is he? How many brothers does he have? Which is his weight? How much money does his father make? Only then will they believe they know him. If you tell the grown-ups, I saw a nice red brick house with geraniums in the windows and doves on the roof, they don't get to imagine this house. It's necessary to tell them, I've seen 100,000 francs house. They exclaim, it's so beautiful. Then if you tell them the evidence that the little prince existed is that he was charming, he laughed, and wanted a sheep, when you want a sheep, it is evidence that you exist. They will shrug and treat you as a child. But if you tell them, that planet where he came from is asteroid B612, they will be convinced, and they will leave you free of their questions. They are like that. It is not their fault. Children must be very indulgent to the grown-ups. But of course, we who don't understand life, we make fun of numbers. I would like to start this story like fairy tales. I would like to say, once upon a time, a little prince who lived in a planet not much bigger than him, who needed a friend. For those who understand life, it would seem much more real. Because I do not like people reading my book recklessly. I feel much sorrow to tell those memories. It is already 6 years since my friend went with his sheep. If I am here trying to describe him, it is not to forget him. It is sad to forget a friend. Everyone has not a friend. Then I become more like a grown-up, who are not interested in digits anymore. So, yeah, that's why I have bought a color box and a pencil box. It is hard to get back to the drawing at my age, when you have never made other attempts besides that one of a closed boa and an open boa at the age of 6. Of course I will try to make portraits the most similar as possible, but I'm absolutely sure that I won't succeed. A drawing goes, and the other one is not similar anymore. I am a little wrong about the size as well. Here, the little prince is too big. There, he is too small. I also hesitate on the color of his costume. And then I grope like this and like that, as best as possible. Finally, I was wrong about some details more important. But he has to forgive me for that. My friend never gave explanations. Maybe he thought I was familiar to him, but unfortunately I do not know how to see sheep through boxes. Maybe I'm a little like the grown-ups. I must have gotten older. Chapter 5. Every day I learned something about the planet, the departure, the trip. It came slowly, random thoughts. It was so that, on the third day, I knew the drama of the babos. This time again, it was thanks to the sheep, because suddenly the little prince asked me, as taken by a serious doubt, is it true that sheep eat bushes, isn't it? Yes, it is true. Ah, I am happy. I did not understand why it was so important that the sheep eat bushes. But the little prince added, therefore, do they also eat baobabs? I pointed out that the little prince, that the baobabs are not bushes, but trees as large as churches, and that even if he took with him a whole herd of elephants, the herd would not overcome a single baobab. The idea of a herd of elephants made the little prince laugh. They should be one over the other. But he noticed with wisdom, the baobabs are growing, therefore they start being small. That's right. But why do you want your sheep to eat the little baobabs? Well, see, as if it was evident, and it took me a lot of mental effort to understand only this problem. And indeed, on the planet of the little prince, there was. As in all planets, good plants and weeds. Therefore, good seeds of good plants and bad seeds of weeds, but the seeds are invisible. They slept in the secret of the ground until one among them sees the desire to wake up. Then it stretches and pushes, first timidly towards the sun, a lovely, small, harmless twig. But if it is a twig of a radish or a rosebud, we can let it grow as it wants. But if it is a weed, we must tear the plant immediately, as soon as it is recognized. Now there were terrible weeds on the planet of the little prince, and those were the seeds of baobabs. The surface of the planet was infested, but a baobab, if you take too long, you can never get rid of it. It clutters the whole planet. It perforates the planet with its roots. And if the planet is too small, the baobabs are so numerous they burst it. It's a matter of discipline, the little prince told me later. When he finished his cleaning in the morning, it was necessary to carefully do the cleaning of the planet. He must effort regularly to extract the baobabs as soon as they were distinguished from the roses. That they took a lot when they are very young. It's a very boring work, but very easy. And one day he advised me to apply myself to achieve a beautiful drawing, to instruct the children at my home. If they travel one day, he told me, it can be useful to them. Sometimes he conveniently postpones his work. However, if it is the baobabs, it is always a disaster. I've known a planet inhabited by a lazy boy. It has overlooked 3 bushes. And upon the instructions of the little prince, I have drawn this planet here. I did not like to take the tone of a moralist, but the danger of the baobabs is so little known, and the risks faced by those who get lost in an asteroid are so considerable that, for once, I make an exception to my opposition. I say, children, watch out for the baobabs. It's to warn my friends about the dangers they were in for a long time, like myself, without knowing that I've worked so hard on this drawing here. The lesson I gave was worth it. You might ask, why is there not in this book other drawings as grandiose as the drawing of the baobabs? Well, the answer is rather simple. I have tried, but could not achieve. When I drew the baobabs, I was animated by the sense of urgency. I believe that's where we're going to end for now. That is another 3 chapters, and I feel like that's a good stopping point for now. So we'll catch you on the next few here. Chapters 6 through 8. Math was a little hard there for a second. Alright. See you guys in the next one.